What's going on, chat? We're going to continue reading The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. So it says, The Man at the Door. 27 hours before she decided to die, Nora Seed sat on her dilapidated sofa, scrolling through other people's lives, waiting for something to happen. Dog. Dilapidated. Bro, what? What are these words, man? It means it says in very poor condition. Damn. It's ran down, Chad. Okay. 27 hours before she decided to die, Nora Seed sat on her dilapidated sofa, scrolling through other people's happy lives, waiting for something to happen. And then, out of nowhere, something actually did. Someone, for whatever peculiar reason, rang the door. Bro, I'm so dumb. What does this mean? What does peculiar mean? It's something unusual, strange, or not like other things. Okay. Something that stands out because it's different from what you normally expect. It can also mean something specific or unique to a person, place, or situation. Something that's odd, strange. Okay. Someone, for whatever peculiar reason, rang the doorbell. She wondered for a moment if she shouldn't get the door at all. She was, after all, already in her night clothes, even though it was only 9 p.m. She felt self-conscious about her oversized eco-warrior t-shirt and her tartan pajama bottoms. She put on her slippers to be slightly more civilized and discovered that the person at the door was a man. And one she recognized, he was a tall and gangly boyish with a kind face, but his eyes were sharp and bright, like they could see through things. It was good to see him, if a little surprising, especially as he was wearing sports gear and he looked hot and sweaty despite the cold, rainy weather. The juxtaposition between them made her feel even more slovenly than she had done in 5 seconds earlier. But she'd been feeling lonely. And even though she'd studied enough existential philosophy to believe loneliness was a fundamental part of being a human in an essentially meaningless universe, it was good to see him. All right, existential. Existential is like your existence? Let me see, what does that mean? Existential basically means something that's about existence, especially human existence. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Objective, something real. Okay. She put on her slippers, she put on a slightly more civilized and discovered the person on the door was a man, and one she recognized. He was tall and gangly and boyish with a kind face, but his eyes were sharp and bright, that they could see through things. It was good to see him, if a little surprising, especially as he was wearing sports gear and he looked hot and sweaty despite the cold, rainy weather. The juxtaposition between them made her feel even more slovenly than she had done 5 seconds. All right, so first, slovenly. And then juxtaposition. It's like untidy, unkept, dirty. Juxtaposition is like two opposite things, right? I was like the comparison or antithesis. Okay. Ash, she said. It's Ash, isn't it? Yes, it is. What are you doing here? It's good to see you. A few weeks ago, she'd been sat playing her electric piano, and he'd run down Bancroft Avenue and had seen her in the window. Seen her at the window here at 33A and given her a little wave. He had once, years ago, asked her out for a coffee. Maybe he was about to do that again. It's good to see you too, he said, but his tense forehead didn't show it. When she'd spoken to him in the shop, he'd always sounded breezy, but now his voice contained something heavy. He scratched his brow, made another sound, but didn't quite manage a full word. You running? A pointless question. He was clearly out for the run, but he seemed relieved momentarily to have something trivial to say. Yeah, I'm doing the Bedford half. It's this Sunday. Oh, right. Great. I was thinking of doing a half marathon, and then I remembered I hate running. This had sounded funnier in the head than it did as actual words. Being vocalized out of her mouth, she didn't even hate running. But still, she was perturbed to see the seriousness of his expression. Perturbed? Like she was like disturbed? Yeah, she was like, she felt weird. That silence went beyond awkward and into something else. You told me you had a cat, he said eventually. Yes, I have a cat. I remembered his name. Voltaire, a ginger tabby. Yeah, I call him Volt. He finds Voltaire a little pretentious. Pretentious? Too boastful. Okay. Turns out he's not massively into 18th century French philosophy and literature. He's quite down to earth, for a cat. Philosophy. It's like the studying of question of life, existence, morality, and blah, blah, blah. Ash looked down at her slippers. I'm afraid I think he's dead. What? He's lying very still by the side of the road. I saw the name on the collar. I think a car might have hit him. I'm sorry, Noah. She was so scared of her sudden switch in emotions right then that she kept smiling, as if that smile could keep her in the real world she had just been in. The one where Volt was alive and where his man she'd sold guitar songbooks to had rung her doorbell for another reason. Ash, she remembered, was a surgeon. Not a veterinary one, a general human one. If he said anything was dead, it was, in all probability, dead. I'm so sorry. Nora had a familiar sense of grief. Only sertraline stopped her crying. Oh God. Sertraline? What does that mean? Oh, it helps as an antidepressant, so we'll go against depression, of course. Nora had a familiar sense of grief. Right? She stepped out onto the wet, cracked paving slabs of Bancroft Avenue, hardly breathing, and saw the poor, ginger-furred creature lying on the rain-glossed tarmac beside the curb. His head grazed the side of the pavement, and his legs were back as if in mid-gallop, chasing some imaginary bird. Oh, Volts! Oh no! Oh my God! She knew she should be experiencing pity and despair for her feline friend, and she was, but she had to acknowledge something else. As she stared at Voltaire's still and peaceful expression, that total absence of pain, there was an inescapable feeling of brewing, a feeling brewing in the darkness, envy. Who's she jealous of? All right, that's all for now. Next, we go and read on string theory. I want to know what happened to her cat. I want to know more about this dude. It's very interesting, but hey, God bless. Stay safe, y'all. We gonna keep reading every single day. That's the goal.